Leo here, so excited today to introduce you Hayley, the amazing boss from Remax, my office of course, and we're gonna be talking about grinding, passion and leadership. So I can't wait to show you the vlog and listen to the podcast, so
see you there.
Ciao. And here we are. Good morning. Good morning to you. Hayley, how are you?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, don't worry. Like, you're gonna be paying me to be on this podcast. So, for everybody listening, this is a very, very exciting day because today we have the honor to have in the house directly from a part of the world that I don't want to spoil because we're going to be talking about it. Everybody watching, everybody listening to the podcast, welcome to Real Talk. That is like this little container. Hayley, from the CEO of two different basically business, but I will say like two agencies that for Remax. Yes. Good morning.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm really well, mate. I'm really, really well. And before we start, I just want to compliment you on the way that you're wearing your headphones because I've noticed that you're not going to ruin your hair, so that's lovely.
Well, I want to replicate the compliment because I can see how you are wearing yours with grace.
Well,
see?
Now that we're out of isolation, I had an opportunity to get out of the house. I did brush my hair today. So.
Yes, but you look always fabulous. Now, for everybody listening, we know each other. Like, so it doesn't look like, we compliment each other for some reason. So Hayley and I, Hayley is the amazing boss that, so the owner of the office in Brisbane, and you got another one in Mackay.
Yes.
So she's the head of basically 25, 30 agents, something like that.
Yes.
And I am lucky enough to work with you.
Goodness.
So today I wanted to ask you to come and talk to us about some of the things that people ask the most.
Yes.
And today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be mentioning real estate, even though it's a very hot topic. But today I want to ask you about leadership. So how you manage to be so successful in basically in handling like crisis and handling this kind of stuff. So, but first of all, how are you?
I'm really well. This is a bit of a crazy time for everybody, I guess, and I've said to a couple of people, I kind of grieved for 2020 6 weeks ago, like all the massive plans that we had for 2020 and building a new house and, all of the things that we wanted to do this year that we kind of had on the agenda, doing a bit of a trip to Europe, maybe even, going back to New Zealand a couple of times. COVID's kind of thrown that on its head. So I came to grips with how, rough this might be quite early in the piece, and I feel like that's made us quite well equipped. We were very quick to act with both offices on making sure that, everybody was safe and being well looked after, and that's kind of set us up for this very well. I think we're very lucky to have such resilient and mature kind of level-headed people within our team, which has a nice rub-off effect on everyone, like nobody's been in panic stations. Everybody's just been in a really community-orientated space of helping their clients and their friends and, and some of the elderly just to make it through these tough times. So it's been nice.
Do you reckon that our mindset is because we are in our 30s? So basically, do you reckon that age can be also a factor to keep positivity running?
Yes, I think certainly yes and no. I think that millennials are very kind of, they like a cause, they like to be working towards something, they like to be part of something, they like to be something, part of something greater. But I think we have quite a mixture of what I would say experienced millennials, because even though we've got a whole bunch of people in our business that have been in real estate for 20, 30 plus years, like our veterans of the team, they're very steadying for us. But we also have a lot of people in our business that have been in real estate since they were 18 and 19 years old. So like for me, it's my 17th year.
Yeah, that's what I was going towards that, because even though you are probably the youngest person that I can call boss, that I ever worked with, you've been in the industry forever.
Yeah, and I think we've got people littered throughout our property management and our sales team just like me. So from that perspective, they're not at a loss as to what to do in a crisis. Obviously, as you said before, we have the office in Mackay, and poor Mackay, it has gone from recession to mining downturn to problem to floods to fires to, and it's gone from thing to thing to thing. And it really, this is just another day in the life for those guys up there.
So for everybody listening or watching, Mackay is a city in the northern part of the Queensland territory. So we are in Brisbane on the east coast. So we give a little bit of a sense of where everything is, because we have people that listen and watch from all over the world.
Yes.
So, and it's a predominantly mining community, and they had a rough patch for a while.
Yeah, 5 years ago or so, they started to experience a horrendous mining downturn and experienced, huge job losses overnight. I think one of the stats was they lost 25,000 people from their town within a week. They just packed up and off they went, back to their homes in Melbourne, Victoria, all over Queensland, back to WA, because they lost their jobs like that. So they're a very resilient bunch, and that in one of our team Zoom meetings we got Stace to talk about how to have really difficult and compassionate conversations with clients who are in hardship, or how to help them when things in their life are absolutely falling apart, and how you can be their strength in real times of need.
So what is your role basically? Do you mentor people? Do you basically mediate in times like this? And the question that then I can link to that one is, how do you do it?
Well, I'm a non-selling principal. That's probably one of our big points of difference, in the sense that my role in the business is culture, people, and growth. So from a culture point of view, obviously in these difficult times, it's important that they all know that they have a team to fall back on, and they can kind of gather strength from each other. From a people point of view, attracting great people to our business is always, a huge goal of mine. But not only that, it's looking after the great people that we have. That's essential, because it's, there's no point in becoming a revolving door. Certainly when we find great people, it's important for us to know how to look after them. And from a growth perspective, our business has been growing for the last 4 years, sometimes year on year, which is really awesome. In our first year, we were the #1 sales growth award in RE/MAX Australia, which is cool. And in each year, we've just had, different property management growth goals and percentage growth goals, and we've been able to hit those out of the park, which is really cool.
So now, I want to show you the first of the images that we have in stock for you for today. Sure. So, and I want you to look at it and tell me the first couple of things that comes to mind about it. So,
sure.
The first one is going to be this one.
No. Home.
For everybody listening, it's the flag of New Zealand.
It is the flag of New Zealand, but funnily enough, I've now lived here for as long as I've lived in New Zealand. And during this COVID crisis, I actually said to Dan, "That's it, I'm renouncing my citizenship." And he was like, "What?" He said, "Do you understand if you do that, you're going to have to barrack for the Wallabies?" And that was probably a deal breaker for me, I'm not going to lie. But it was genuinely because, I have lived in Australia now for as long as I've lived in New Zealand. So
basically, you moved here when you were 17, and now you jumped straight away into real estate.
Yeah.
And then for a long period of time, you were in another company.
Yes.
And now you are in basically in the next picture that I'm going to show you, and I wanna know what this means to you, because a lot of people know that you work for this brand, but nobody knows really what this brand means to you.
Yeah.
You've been here for so long, and I want to actually understand what's the deal with this one. So here you go.
Well, there's two things that first come to mind. Winning is the first one, and growth is the second. I often tell people the story of when I first sat down with one of the directors to talk about coming to Remax, and I cried, and they were like, oh, what's this all about? And I was like, oh my gosh, if I'd been at Remax for the last 17 years, I'd probably have no debt. I would probably have all of my mortgages freehold. You know, I would be so much better off financially just doing exactly what I did at these other businesses by, you know, the attractive splits or, you know, the different conjunctional agency models that are carried by this brand. And this was news to me. I'd never had a Remax broker tell me about, you know, what I could be doing or what I could be earning. So it was a huge growth for me, and obviously then purchasing a business after a couple of years in corporate again was another growth phase in my life. So it really has just been like up and up and up.
Was it scary?
Making the change?
And also purchasing the businesses.
Oh man, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was like, yeah, this is great.
I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. But
I was okay for everybody listening, because they want to know the nuts and bolts. I was going from being employed to being in complete control with your money. Like it's probably like one of the scariest things that someone can do.
Yeah. I think some people are wired that way, and some people are not. And it's actually, freedom can be a curse and it can be an absolute gift. You know, some people get that freedom and they run with it and they, you know, build these huge empires, and it's amazing. And other people get this freedom and they freak out because they're like, what do I do? I don't have anyone to tell me what to do. Like, how, you know, like, what do I do today? You know, so it's one or the other.
So what do you reckon about the roles of, so, you know, when you talk about with successful people, I've been like talking to them, like, and some of them, even behind, you know, cameras, they say to me the role of mentorship is really, really crucial.
Yes.
I don't believe it's like 100% true. Like, I believe that you need someone to teach you, but then in the end, you need to find your own way. You have to fly with your own wings. Where are you standing in this kind of debate?
I 100% feel that you do need to find your own way in life, and that you're going to have different mentors in your life at different stages as well, particularly in business, you know, like, and certainly in my real estate career, I was very fortunate. My first boss in real estate was such a beautiful man, and obviously I was only 18. I started on his front desk when I was 17, so he was really nurturing and kind and gave me chance after chance. I mean, look, I would have fired me, like, legit, I would have fired me, but he was just so wonderful. And I worked for him for 6 years, and I remember the day that I resigned to move on to managing an office for another company. I was like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Because I wasn't one to jump, you know, like, that's always a very scary thing. But I think, you know, as I've progressed, I've taken different things from different mentors. And in my business journey, I was very, very lucky to come across what I call business school, and a mentor in Tanya Titman, who is an incredible woman in her own right. But the things that journey has helped me to realize in my own business is invaluable.
Do you reckon that being the boss makes you the most despicable person in the room? Or you reckon that some other people, for example, would approach that as the most friendly person in the room? How do you do it? What do you think? Like,
I never like to be the smartest or the funniest or the anything in the room. I like to be part of the team. And although, you know, when it comes to the crunch, I make the decisions and I make the calls, I probably have a very consultative approach to leadership, as I did when I was selling homes. When I was selling properties for people, it was a very consultative approach, obviously a guided consultation, but, you know, with our team, I respect that there's going to be people in our team that are better at things than I am, and I love learning from them too. So as much as they're learning from me, I really feel like I learn a lot from each and every one of them. You know, like nobody does a better impersonation of me than you.
I mean, like, there's someone told me that you have a new show on TV. We are talking about...
What is it?
No, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know, Remix Survivor.
Yeah, Remix Survivor. Yeah, look, and, you know, that's tough. There's times in the business when you have to make big calls.
How do you fire people?
Oh, that is like I hate that.
So you wake up... Okay, no. Yeah. You have to drive me through because, like, at least I know what's coming. But...
Preparation for later today.
You wake up in the morning,
yes.
You know that you're going to have that conversation. What goes into your mind? Because everybody listening is in some sort of business. They are looking for, I want them to have as much as they can suggestions on leadership and stuff like that. So it's a very difficult art of managing a group of people. So what goes, because it's easy to promote someone, in a way, but how do you fire someone?
Man, you could have given me a bit of a heads up on this so I could have prepared something.
No, but just in
no.
general, like for a conversation, like I feel like you have a lot of empathy.
Yeah.
So basically, the conversation starts on. I assume it starts on the fact that maybe you are not in the same journey, or on the same path.
A lot of the time, it really is, you know, based on what's best for them. And for me to get to that point where I do need to part ways with somebody in our team, you know, like there's been leading factors. There's never a knee-jerk reaction. Something that I like to live by is never react in anger.
But my question was not on basically on them, but like how like you cope with the fact that you feel basically every time you feel horrible. Yeah. Like that's a feeling that a lot of people that I've been talking to, they talk to me, and some of them said to me, "Well, Leo, it's when you have to take any decision, it's never easy. Yeah. So and based on that situation, you need also to set your mind on a fact that that's a conversation, and that conversation, as you said, is probably the last conversation that you had after a ton of conversations.
Yeah, and usually people, you know, before we get to that point, they've decided that it's not for them.
And that comes to another question that I want to ask you: is how important it is to have a vision?
Oh, it is the most important thing. Because in any business situation, you're going to have things that get tough. And if you don't have a clear and concise vision for the business and for what you want to do with it, it's really easy to give up. But once you've got a vision in mind and you're set on that and it drives you and it makes you passionate about where you're taking the business and the type of people that you have in your business and the services and support that you'll have, it's really easy to keep going, you know, particularly when you do have a situation where you have to part ways with somebody, and it always hurts. You know, like I find that a really difficult part, but it's a part of the journey. And by the way, it's very important, in my opinion, to have these conversations because it's part of life, part of business, and part of everything. And there's kind of a stigma. But like I've been listening to other podcasts, and a lot of people say, look, it is because like I put myself also in a situation where one day I want to have a team that you know we work together towards something. And if a situation doesn't work well, that's my problem. Because like, and I believe you have the same problem because you have the same empathy. I can see that, and that's why talking to everybody helps out, like, you know, helps a lot. I think you know, like if you enjoy firing people, then there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you.
Well, let's talk about it.
At the same time, you know, you have to make decisions based on the best thing for your business and the best thing for your team, and a lot of the time that is in the back of your mind. You know, again, if you're getting to that point where you have to part ways with
there's
somebody,
probably been like a ton of topics before.
And often people are so much better off having, that conversation than dragging on and making, there's nothing worse than somebody that doesn't want to be in the business, but they don't know that yet.
Yeah.
And they don't pull the trigger. And you don't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And they say, and I've made that mistake before. I've kept people for too long. People that, potentially I should have made the call earlier, but that's living and learning.
Is there something that you want to tell me? I have a feeling it's coming. No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I haven't got my glasses on right now. Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing is, I've got one more image for you, but before we go to that one, we are literally almost by the end of the segment. See, I told you. You would have said that did go quick. My question is life-work balance. Mm-hmm. I believe, and that's what I want to say to you and to everybody listening, it's BS.
Yeah.
Because in a way, life-work balance, maybe the postman can have that one because he works 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day and then he goes home.
Yeah.
Some other job can have it, but if you're an entrepreneur or if you are working for yourself,
yes,
it's so bloody hard to switch off the engine. You know what I mean? What do you reckon?
Yeah. Actually, I had a business school intensive with a guy by the name of Phil DeBella. I'm not sure if you know him, but he was like the coffee king. Yeah. And he nailed it when he said there's no such thing as work-life balance. It's work-life harmony. At some time in your career, in your journey, you're going to need to work your ass off. Yeah. And you're going to put it all in. And then other times you can take your foot off the pedal a little bit. And other times you can relax. And other times you can go on holidays and enjoy it with your family. But sometimes you have to be realistic about the fact that as an entrepreneur or as a business owner or a salesperson or someone that's trying to grow their own wealth or their own business, there's going to be times when it's just you and the coalface and you got to grind.
Which is always, and that takes me to the next image, the last one for today. Now, don't worry about Apple. We're not giving them any more money, but Apple, if you're watching, I can do this for money. But anyway.
Hustler.
The phone. You're looking at the phone right now.
I know.
What's going on? That's me too.
Oh, my phone blows up, and I'll get off a Zoom call, because at the moment everything's on Zoom, right? And I'll get off a Zoom call and I have 17 missed calls or and I guess after years and years of being a salesperson, you're used to that constant being available 24/7, and that can be, your best friend or your worst nightmare. And I probably have got a bit numb to it, but often my husband will say to me, "Put down your phone, go and spend some time with the family," or whatever it may be, and that's really cool. And I love that about our relationship. That sometimes, I need a little bit of a check-in. That it's like
there's
put it down.
Yeah, there's an app on the phone that tells you how long have you been on the phone.
I've seen it.
I've never I never see the app.
Don't do it.
I never see the app tell me that my time on the phone was less than the week before. It was always more.
Well, I'm just stoked that you introduced me to the AirPod, because not only do I look super cool now,
you're welcome.
I do. I'm very productive being able to have conversations and use two hands to type. So that's really cool. Thank you.
Well, it's a very valuable lesson for everybody listening. By your headphones.
Yeah.
Look, I want to wrap this up. Mm-hmm. I want you to give us 2 words that gives an idea what is your idea of entrepreneurship, business, and in general, what is your dream moving forward? Two words. One to describe one, and the other one to describe the dream.
Okay. Man, you really could have given me a little bit of time to figure this out.
See, it would have been
Passion is probably, I think, the most important thing. And continuing education or knowledge, I kind of feel like most of this journey up until this point has just been me learning, as I go. And then I've made some mistakes, and then I've, done some things that I was really proud of as well. But if I hadn't have had the passion for the people in our business and the vision that I have, there's a million times we could have just gone.
They say, they say that the most valuable time that a human has is when they are babies, because they trial and error and they learn how to
The inner
walk.
6-year-old, yeah.
They learn how to talk, they learn how to reason. So you are basically telling us one of the best kept secret. Keep learning, keep pushing, keep grinding, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Hayley, thank you so much for coming.
That's okay. Thanks for having me. I feel a bit special.
Well, you are special because we only call the best people here, people that can bring value.
Thanks, buddy.
Because it's important for everybody listening and watching. We're gonna put underneath your interview the Instagram links.
Yeah.
What's the Instagram account?
Doing deals and heels. Yeah.
Can they find you on Instagram?
They absolutely can. Yeah.
What can they expect to see?
That is kind of like a cautionary tale about mum life, balancing a business, and trials and tribulations, and all the crazy stuff that I do in a very caffeinated state.
So basically, superhero stuff.
Calm down, Chief. Calm down. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, and yes, well, for everybody else,
buddy.
thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Very soon.
Is
Ciao.
this when you say ciao?
Well, let's do it together. See you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.